Hello, my astrology friends from around the world. This is Lada from AstroladaCom, and today back because of popular demand is the teacher, anthroposoph, and astrologer Theo, who will talk to us about cosmology and the good and the negative forces that form humanity, the past of humanity, the future of humanity. It's a fascinating topic according to anthroposophy. Hello, Theo.
Hello, Lada. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. People absolutely love the knowledge that you present. It's a very unique knowledge. It's a Western esoteric knowledge. We all know about Eastern, it's been very popular for the last 100 years, but people don't know that we have a very thriving Western esoteric school and knowledge that was given to humanity not long ago, 100 years ago. By teacher Rudolf Steiner. And by the way, if anyone would like to contact Theo, he's a biodynamic, also a gardener, he's an anthroposoph, he's an astrologer and a consultant and an educator, basically children education and children development. He has very reasonable consultations just for $100. I'll put the link below, and he can advise you on spiritual topics, on even using astrology, solving problems in life. I don't know what else you can actually do if you tell me what your sessions include.
I think that's quite enough, because let's not seem like jack of all trades.
Okay. So I'm very excited about your presentation today.
Okay, so this presentation came out from a conversation we had after you had an interview from a guest of yours who actually decided to interview you, and you talked about Ahriman and Lucifer and the thoughts that you had on which planet or constellation they're related with. And I just took the chance of sending you a voice message saying, "Oh, wait, Steiner talked about this also." And it was very nice to hear an actual thoughts of an astrologer and a person who lived with anthroposophy, to see that actually, yeah, those thoughts are very reliable and you're thinking in very correct ways, next to a clairvoyant, let's say, because he can just see these things and you're actually trying to think out how would, yeah.
Oh.
And I thought of bringing some of the quotes that Steiner mentioned. So today's presentation is going to be astrotheology. So the relationship of ancient Christology to the nowadays and to the astrology that we see in the solar system. I needed a lot of time to actually prepare the presentation, so you will have to excuse me. I will be jumping from slide to slide. I will share you a screen and I will talk, and then I will take off the screen when it becomes too much, and if you need to stop me because I've become too much of a talker.
Please do. I love all the knowledge you give us.
Okay, so I'm sharing the screen. You see it, I guess?
Yes, perfect.
Yes. So astrotheology is coming from the looking at the understanding of God through astronomical and astrological aspects. And with the beginning, I will start with Lucifer, who is the spiritual being who gave, let's say, the freedom to humanity and to the human being. Lucifer has the name is very, very specific, because Lucifer is in Latin and phosphorus is in ancient Greek, and it actually means a light bringer, a light carrier. And phosphorus in chemistry is the one who brings the light to flowers. And flowers are said from another clairvoyant, Baba Vanga, that you may know. Flowers are actual light condensed into a being. And since we have the ancient Greek mythology talking about Lucifer and Venus, because we know the morning star that's very bright, that Lucifer lived or lives on Venus, and also bringer of freedom and goodness as Venus, because also it's related with temptation. Lucifer is the tempter, and Venus on a downgrade side is a tempting planet, especially on the sexual side. And also Lucifer tempts Eve, the woman aspect of the human being, which is also related to sexuality and reproduction. That's why also it's curious. Here in this picture, you can see a 5-pointed star, which is a little bit upside down here. But this is the movement of Venus for an 8-year cycle. And in biodynamics, we needed to study and actually draw this symbol and thinking, how is this making an 8-year cycle? Every point that you see on the corners of the star here is where the Venus is conjuncting the Earth. And it makes a big line that connects over these two lines. So that's another way of seeing how Venus is related to the flowering stage and to the light, and to Lucifer, who is the bringer of the light. And how the 5-pointed star is really a symbol related to Luciferic freedom that he gave us. And it's not a occult sign that's bad. The pentagram is actually a very important sign, and there's a reason.
Pentagram. The upright.
Sorry?
The upright pentagram.
Yes, the upright pentagram, of course. Here, that's the only picture that I found in Google. That's why it looks in this way. Also, why Venus tempts with an apple, and in many translations they say that he tempted with pomegranate or with fig. But the occult way of seeing the apple, and New York being called the Big Apple, is because the apple tree has flowers that look like this. It's called the Rosacea family, and the Rosacea family is controlled from the movements of Venus, and it actually manifests the flowers in the world of the Rosacea family. So it's being tempted the woman, and being tempted with an apple. It's all symbolism of different levels. One is the female, the other one is the temptation in the feeling life, and then in the etheric life we see it as an apple. So there are 3 levels of being there, the temptation.
They're all Venusian symbols, Venus symbols.
Venusian, yes, exactly.
Why is Lucifer considered bad then? So the beings that tempted humanity into the material were Luciferian during the fall.
During the fall, yes.
But it's actually, because thanks to them, we have free will. Otherwise, we didn't have free will before that.
Yeah, well, it's a very freely said free will, because we are on the path of free will. That's because we are not in the we are in a process that has not finished yet. But because of the temptation, we are allowed to mistakes due to having a free will. So if I'm on an occult path and I say, oh, I actually need to do the good thing, but I'm allowed to do the bad thing sometimes because I'm not perfect. So that's the freedom of imperfection that we have in our physical life.
So in that case, Lucifer and his hosts are not such a negative entity?
No. Also, after the Christ, actually Lucifer is being redeemed, and he's the helper after we go into the spiritual world. When we die, Lucifer takes us and helps us to go through the path of revising of our life.
It's Luciferic beings.
Luciferic beings, yes, because Lucifer by himself. So the Lucifer is also
the ones
called.
That we hear, they kind of give sacrifice children, whatever. Are they serving Lucifer or Ahriman? Sounds.
Well, you can ask me that question later on, because I'm gonna reveal some other beings that they're not very widespread as names. I wouldn't call them Luciferic, no. Luciferic are usually people who are working with substances that make you have bright imagination.
What do you mean?
Like this? Well, let's say drugs that really float you off very high, and people in the perfume industry, those are also workers with luciferic substances.
And artists, a lot of artists.
Yes, the painters, which are doing some mad imagination work, I would say, that when you look at the painting and you're like, oh, I don't get anything because there's so many things there.
Like Dali.
Yeah. Because the Lucifer is the one who relates to the very big and wide imagination spread. And you get out of this world. So that's a little bit about Lucifer. So Venus, Fall of Man, he is a fallen angel. This is something very, something very counterintuitive, because Lucifer was an archangel, actually. His name, if I'm not guessing, in Christology was Nathaniel, or Samael. I will not go into that, but he was an archangel who, due to the fall, he falls into the rank of an angel. And like literally a fall one, it's like a human being now to degrade into an animal a little bit. Can you imagine that? That higher beings also have downgrading powers. So his forces are into the angel realm now. And from the negative forces, he is the weakest negative force, actually. But in common days, we are mostly talking about Lucifer, who in Christology and in the Bible is also called the Diablo in Latin, or the devil. Those are other two names that we can see Lucifer as.
Samael.
But in the Bible,
I checked.
Samael. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Samael. And there is another type of a devil that they called Satan, and that's not Lucifer, actually. And we're going to look that a little bit later on. That's another being. It's not Lucifer.
So the negative manifestations of Lucifer would be someone who is too much into material things and gluttony or desire, sexual desire. So what would it be?
It would. Can you help me to stop sharing the screen? Stop share. Okay. So, yes, very big imagination, very spiritual people who are not grounded in their doings. Like,
so the New Age
yes,
movement is Luciferian in nature, basically.
Yes, it's very philosophical, and always having freedom, always being, but we're free. Christ gave us this, or we are gods. This thing that the God is within us. It's true to some extent, but the purity that they say we have it in us. Meditation, would say only meditation can heal this or only that. Going too much into the spiritual realm and philosophy of things, people who really use their imagination too much in a way that they're not grounded into reality.
They can't pay their bills, but they're highly spiritual.
Yes, and money are not important. I know that they are not the thing, but we're going to see later actually money, what they represent, and what they represented in the Bible with the Christ and the silver coins that they're being Judas sells him for silver coins.
So if I forgot what I was gonna ask, but if I've seen a lot of people that are very spiritual, but they have kind of excessive sexuality, like they'll sleep around with their students or charismatic spiritual leaders. This is also Luciferian, the temptation.
Yes, exactly. Charisma. You said it exactly. Charisma is a Luciferian quality. which doesn't, all these things that I mentioned, by the way, are not bad things. They're just characterizations of a pole of the plus or the minus that we're going to see later. So yeah, very charismatic people, people with extremely long hair and holding it the very long and extremely long beards. This is something that's Luciferic also. Having it too much, very much extension, laying down on the cloud and browsing, eating fruits, you know, only fruitarians. This is a Luciferic thing, trying to go, trying to become a light, very thin people, because they're really spiritualizing, or very
They're not
white
ground.
people.
Yes, and they're not so materially connected to the. They're almost like
Yes.
evaporating already.
Yes, exactly, because Lucifer is related to evaporation. Exactly, the clouds. That's why in some cartoons, even, Lucifer is being drawn like a floaty guy. Those are intuitions that people making movies and even cartoons are really sensing that Lucifer is part of that. And the salvation of Lucifer that the Christ gave when he sacrificed himself, and how we can redeem it in ourselves, is love. So Lucifer is also related to the part of love, but it's the egoism-free love.
Unconditional type.
The higher love. Actually, Lucifer wants to salvage the soul of humanity so they become very spiritual and nothing else is important. That's his trap. He wants to spiritualize the earth before human beings actually manage to do their tasks on the earth. He wants to run away. And Venus as a planet is a super floaty planet. It's all air. And it has so much light that it just throws off the light from the sun.
It's so bright. It's the brightest.
It's so bright.
Light in the sky.
Yeah. And that's why Lucifer is like this. I don't need knowledge. I got this. And Venus is a little bit like this.
They always choose the easy way and escape from difficulties, like peace and love, and people that bury kind of their head in problems. Always love. If you think positive, there is nothing evil. It's like people that avoid all of those topics.
Yeah.
Of the hardships of life. It's Luciferian in nature.
Yeah. And actually the Kundalini, which is on the bottom of the first root chakra, is related to Lucifer. And that's why the redemption came with the Christ of Lucifer, because now Rudolf Steiner mentions the Kundalini will need to be used and uplifted and used for spiritual energy seership. And fallen reproductive organs that are super important for spiritual development are now moving into another place, which is the larynx. That's why Scorpio controls the tongue and the penis, let's say, or the reproductive organs. They're very related. In the male are the I forgot the testicles, and in the woman are the ovaries. So those are the two single organs. And in the throat are actually the can you help me here on the word?
Larynx?
Sorry?
Larynx?
No, the larynx is here, and you have the two...
The tonsils?
Tonsils, thank you. So this is the uplifted reproductive organs. The penis or the vagina is the larynx, and then the two little are uplifted into the tonsils. But there's something very key here, that male have an Adam's apple and females don't. And this is part of the future development of humanity that I think in 2000 years will start a process where men will reproduce children. They will give birth to children, not women. It could take more than 2,000 years. I just remember Steiner saying after the year 3,800.
It starts, so the children won't be made through sex anymore. It will be by talking. You'll be
Yes, they will be spoken out.
What?
Yeah, that's very strange. But you know, Petr Denov speaks about the word, and when you see a person being able to speak, he can 5,000 people can listen to him. You know, he really takes the physical realm and consciousness of people and holds it very strongly, and that's why it's called the word. And in anthroposophy, there's many meditations called the word meditation. The Christ is called the word, the logos. That's why, because he was able to speak out diseases, to cure people only with his speech.
Exactly.
The power of the etheric.
At the beginning was the word. God created everything with vibration and sound. So
Yes.
it really will get from the low manifestation of sexual intercourse to the advanced beings only, to speaking out, maybe just with the vibration of the sound, manifesting a body and bringing a soul down.
Even now, many homeopaths who are working with speech homeopathy, they're actually finding that you can speak a homeopathic remedy to the water and it becomes it.
Yes, I know that. I've seen that. Yes.
So we are already manifesting certain things of the thought world and of the real world. Even the experiment with the rice, you're talking to one rice saying love and to other hate. And in a week, you see how the rice is bringing the vibration. I don't know if you heard of the rice experiment.
The rice that you say love to is white and fluffy, smells aromatic. The other one starts turning black and
yes. And of course, this thing will be developed only in the at the beginning, at the very pure humans who are very clean within their etheric body and astral emotions, because it's a very high power. Also, the manifestation of other beings like plants and etc. I'm imagining that it could be spoken into a woman and she becomes pregnant. You know, something of that sort. It's not necessarily that you're going to physically engage and become a human being, but that you're not going to need, you know, like the Mary who was pregnant without having sex.
Yes.
With the presence of the Holy Spirit. It's something of that sort that two people will be together, they will be talking and they'll be having an amazing time.
Oh, I'm pregnant.
And then the next day she's pregnant. Yes, because that's in the Anthroposophical Society in England, when I was meeting people, one of my teachers was telling me, have you seen, he's a Taurus with stellium in Taurus, but he's ascendant Scorpio. So he had many planets against Scorpio. And he said, have you seen that people are actually satisfied from a good conversation, 40, 50 minutes in a good environment? It's better than sex. And this is when you lift up, you want to speak with the person, you know, and then the higher Scorpio-like essence really becomes the white dove here in this. The white dove of the Holy Spirit coming through the word. And I can really recall that as a, let's say, in the past, I've met a woman that I really liked, and after a good conversation, I don't need this thing that I wanted as a teenager, let's say. It really becomes that if you really entertain the thought of seeing it in this way.
And you're not cheating, so that's great.
Yeah, of course.
You're getting a lot of enjoyment and satisfaction, but
yeah, and it was very interesting because this teacher of mine, he was a speech therapist, and everybody loved speaking with him because he could bring that. He was with white hair, amazing person. So it really, they are people practicing and using those forces to kind of lift up the common of humanity.
Yeah.
Fascinating. With that, Lucifer, I will jump again to the share screen. And we're going to move to the Archangel realm.
And here Lucifer we have is like a fallen archangel, yes?
Yes.
So lower manifestation, the proper, he kind of regressed, while the proper ones, they carried on and became archangels.
Yes. Well, yes, exactly. He was about to become, or he maybe was on the beginning stage of Archangel, but he was very egoistic, is from what I hear. And he wanted to have a realm on his own. And then he was downgraded and fallen because of egoism into an
I know
angel.
that a lot of the spiritual teachings that teach that everything can be easy to choose they're very Luciferian, aren't they? And
Yes, yes.
to on
Also
this.
not thinking clearly is a Luciferian thought, you know, trying to not see certain things that are there.
That inconvenient and
Yes, not needing to do something about it.
What did you say this the law of attraction that's such been for the last 15, 16 years? Is that a Luciferian thing? I mean, it exists, it's a law, it happens, but like you can manifest a house just by imagining it and desiring it and such kind of stuff. Would you call it more Luciferian in nature, this teaching?
I would, yes, you mean like the key, there was an actual movement. There was even a book and a movie of that sort of.
The secret.
Yes, The Secret. Thank you. Yes, it's very much Luciferian, but it doesn't work. To be honest, it doesn't work with with everyone. It works with people who have strong astral forces that are being able to put the physical realm into their work. Because if you say money, that runs away from Lucifer. Lucifer is not interested in money. No. So this is an amalgamation between the Lucifer thinking and after that going directly into the Ahrimanic, because you gain the houses, the money, the clothing, and
So you think
etc.
Luciferian means by manifesting something without the hard work into something material or Ramanic based.
Yeah, it's a very hard. It's very interesting because when you try to go in one way, very much, the other one comes right back at you. It just kicks you. Yeah, that's why the harmony is super important. Maybe I can jump this because you started. This is I made the presentation being looking at good things, bad things, good things, bad things. That's why I don't have Ahriman directly after Lucifer.
Yeah.
I have actually the middle point, which are the archangels, the 4 archangels related to the 4 seasons. We can see here Michael. Michael is, it's interesting to look at this picture because do you see the star sign in the picture on the left?
Libra.
Yes. And in many theological paintings, Archangel Michael holds the Libra.
Interesting.
And there is a reason of that. What's opposition to Libra?
Aries.
Obviously, Aries. And how was Christ called?
The ram, the lamb.
Yes, the lamb, the ram. That's why Michael is such a close worker of the Christ, because he is the exact next, not the next sign, but the opposing sign, which complements the power of the lamp and of the beginning. Because one is the beginning of the spring and the other is the beginning of the autumn. So Michael is the sun archangel. He's related to the sun. He's the strongest archangel of all of the archangels. And that's why he has such big tasks with the Christ as a representative. Archangel Michael showed himself in the burning bush together with the Christ to Moses. And Michael is the controlling organ of the age that we live in now. Every archangel has 360 years that he controls, and Archangel Michael is the one who controls the now time, which started at 1880. We know Michaelmas, I think it's on 27th of September, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that's
Libra, yeah, Libra season.
Yes, it's in Libra, the first degrees of Libra. And it's a very important archangel for the spiritual scientific society. It's said by Steiner that whole anthroposophical society is the thoughts condensed from the teachings of Archangel Michael.
Wow.
And he had a war in the spiritual world with Ahriman, who we're going to look after, who the painting of the dragon and Michael holding the sword against is actually Satan. It's Ahriman, the dragon. It's not Lucifer.
I know that war happened in 1878, was it? 76, something like that.
Yes, exactly. Just before Michael became Rain, the leading archangel.
How would there be a war? I mean, they're not physical. What would be some kind of a who knows? It's so interesting to imagine.
Yeah, well, I will leave that to imagination because it's a great those kinds of questions are great meditative imaginations that you can have.
Mhm.
How would it look?
And that's when those forces would kick out from the astro, weren't they? The dark forces.
Yes, exactly. The Ahrimanic forces were sent down to the earth and to the etheric
So it means
realm.
they're now incarnated in human.
Yes, very much. Yeah,
In the physical, yeah.
yeah. And well, also Steiner says that bacteria and the like were not present before Ahriman came to the earth, and such kind of diseases were not present because he controls them. Ahriman actually manifest when bacteria were found. Also, Ahriman was showing himself more and more into the physical world, rotting and all that kind of things.
They
Of
had
course, they were. Sorry?
the plague before that.
Yeah. Well, I'm very cautious with things of that sort being said because Steiner says bacteria didn't exist before that. The bad bacteria, I mean, the ones who are in diseases, but it doesn't mean it started exactly on the 12th of February 1999. It's a whole process that slowly these manifesting organisms came to life.
And now we have so much more. Actually,
It's full.
grown a lot more than before.
Yes, everywhere.
And we make our own as well in labs.
Yeah.
That's directly working with Ahriman, obviously.
Which one? Sorry?
The ones that manipulate viruses and bacteria. That's very Ahrimanic.
Yes, that's absolutely Ahrimanic. Then we have the next archangel is Gabriel, who is the Saturn archangel in the winter and Christmas time. He is a bit of a tough archangel. Give me a moment.
So there are only 4 archangels, only 4 beings managed to reach that high level.
No,
But they
I am
have
just
yeah.
There are more. I'm just showing the basics one that it's for people are good to have any relationship with. It's the Gabriel is the archangel of revelation who inspired Muhammad in the recording of the Quran. He was talking to him. He's related to childbirth. He's the archangel who was telling Mary and another woman, I forgot her character name, that they're going to have a son, the mother of John the Baptist.
Anna.
So Gabriel proclaimed the John the Baptist and the Christ. So he's all the whisper of coming very important children. And his age was the one just before Archangel Michael. And with him,
of the arts or no?
no,
Okay.
Raphael is the one with the arts. We're going to look later on. He is, because of him, we have the reproductive organs that are developing into a new organ in the brain, which we will see after, I think, after a few hundred years.
When his reign comes again in
Yeah, well, maybe a little bit before that, but it's, of course, I think it's related with the pineal and pituitary gland. that Gabriel kind of moved, kind of gave, all these archangels give form and development of physical organs and the qualities of their organs. And he was the one working with that, because this is Gabriel is on Saturn on the fourfold for the fourth season. But if we looked at the 7 main archangels, he's actually the ruler of the moon, which is the direct opposition of Saturn.
That makes a lot of sense if it's connected with motherhood. And
Yes. So it's quite strange. If people are going into esotericism in any kind, alchemy, astrology, it's very important to think on different levels. Because, and if you're looking only at four archetypes, one archetype can reveal in one way, here in Saturn. If we look at 7 archetypes, Archangel will be another kind. If we look at 12 archetypes, he'll be completely different. Because the fruit, the apple tree has roots, leaves, flowers, and fruits. They're completely different from each other, depending on where we looked at from. So that's why there is no contradictions, depending on the level. The higher the level, the more contradictions it looks, because there more things can happen at the same time when you see them from the higher level. In more specifics. So that's just something that I was really hitting my head on a few years ago. I was like, wait a minute, how he's Saturn and Moon? That's someone made a mistake on the internet, but it's actually, I'm just seeing it from another place. Raphael is the next leading archangel of the spring. He is the healer. That's why he has a staff. And this staff is, I think it's called the caduceus, which the caduceus is the one that you see on the pharmacies.
yeah.
And they took it because in ancient mythology of Greece, the caduceus was the staff of healing. And some people say it's the spine intertwining into the skull, but I am not completely sure about that way of being said. Raphael means God has healed. So the God has chosen a hand, and that's Raphael. And it's spring because that's the healing, all life starts from there. And he is the archangel of Easter. And he's he's the ruler with Mercury, because also Mercury is the healer, because the god representing Mercury in Greece is also holding the caduceus and the flying shoes with wings that he can move anywhere. So that's a little bit about Raphael. I know that a lot of people meditating now are trying to connect with different archangels. And I would say, depending on where you are in life, and depending on what you need, if you need strength and power, and clear thought, you would call for Michael. If you need structure and deeper understanding of your thought world, you would work with Gabriel, and also children, of course, motherhood. It would be Gabriel that you want to connect with, and how to connect with your inner child probably as well. And then if you need healing, Raphael is your guy, who's an archangel. And then we have Uriel, who is a little bit dense archangel. There's always a dense guy in the room. It cannot be only the good and bright archangels, let's say. He is the guide deceased to the last judgment, the angel of the earth. He will be the one judging people, one could say. And he's the one who punishes injustice among men, and is the overseer of hell, regarded as the archangel who guarded the entrance of paradise after the fall, not allowing people to enter paradise. So when Buddha became Buddha, which means that one of his finest body became absolutely clean, and he no longer needed to reincarnate, he met Uriel on the threshold of paradise, and Uriel allowed him to enter because he was pure. So they are guardians of people to humanity, not allowing us to enter prematurely into stages of development, which Lucifer wanted to do. He wanted to send us into the spiritual world prematurely. And that's why substances that can give us little pinpoints of the spiritual world, when you, not when you get high, but some stronger things, you can really live through a spiritual
Hallucinogenic.
yes, hallucinogenics. And then you go nuts because you cannot withstand the power of the spiritual world, because it didn't come from your own willpower and strength, but you used something that helped you along the way. It's like cheating, like a very strong cheating.
And Lucifer always wants the fastest, the easiest way.
Yeah.
It's people who say that's my last reincarnation, I'm not gonna come anymore. That's very Luciferian as well. When I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Or when some people, I've met people saying, when we speak about spirituality, and he says, "Oh yeah, I already know these things." You know that it's okay, you've heard of them, but have you embodied them? Knowing and being able to embody are quite different things. So Uriel is the bad guy who punishes and fights, and he is quite strong. Here in this picture, I think he's fighting one of the characters in the Bible. There was one personage from the Old Testament who fights an angel, and there, I think it's Ezekiel, and then that's actually Uriel with the wrestling. And he's the summer archangel on St. John's Day, controlling, because then the heat becomes quite strong, and the withstanding of the heat, the clearing, the becoming into a diamond, it's being pushed to a very high heat level. So those are 4 leading archangels of humanity, and with the seasons and with the 4 elements, that it's good to be related to them around the seasons. You know, when you pray and when you want help, it's really calling these beings. Here it's a little graph of the hierarchies and how they're related also to the planetary, to the solar system. Angels are their living place, like human beings live on the earth. But angels live, and their place of work is the moon. They're the first above us. That's why angels are like the guardians of human beings. It's like the moon is a little bit of a guardian of the earth, because thanks to the moon we have an atmosphere because of the spin around the earth, and that's how the moon controls the plant realm and the water realm. And the angels, besides being messengers to the humans, they are the one helping us to develop the plant world, which is super.
Create the plants.
Yes, the create to withstand them, to make them, which is super interesting, because people now are working a lot with rocks, building bricks, making houses, using limestone, everything with the rock world. But angels are doing that, but with the plant world.
And when we become angels in the next whatever, we'll be doing plants on whatever.
We will be working with the minerals who have uplifted themselves into plants. Because they are also going through their own process, which is very cute. Can you imagine a rock becoming a plant, like moss? That's the first stage of the rocks evolving into plants are moss. That's why moss lives on rocks. Then we have the archangels above them. Here I don't have the picture because I didn't have some space, but archangels live on Mercury. That's why they're archangels.
On the planet, but the whole sphere of movement.
Yes, the sphere, exactly. Because it's like an onion solar system. I don't have a picture of that. It would maybe made it easier. for next time. It's the next onion after the moon, Mercury, and then the next one.
Yeah.
Archangels and Mercury, the communication. When two angels come together, because two people have come together, and these two people have substantial thoughts about the spiritual world, then an archangel comes to be around them. So archangels are there where you have community, speech, communication. That's why Mercury is their home. Mercury, actually, that's why Mercury exists, because the archangels make Mercury. That's the play. Also, the earth is here because our souls are here. We are holding the earth in one place. Then we have the archai, which are the ones above archangels. They live on Venus. They work with very big periods of time and the personality of human beings. Then we have the powers living
So
on
the
the sun.
archive would be someone that rules the age of Aquarius, the age like this
Yes.
civilization
Yes.
500 years, something like that.
Yes, bigger
Period.
ages of time, because archangels, let's say angels, work for as long as a human being would live. And after that, they go and help him for the reincarnation spider web of karma. Archangels work for 360 years. That's about 6-7 lifetimes. Then the archive become 5-6-7 archangel times, so 2000 years. Then we have the powers, which we're not going to talk about time anymore, because here it comes outside of the, the understanding. It could be 25,920 years, for a power. That's a one solar cycle, the cosmic year, which is because of the sun has walked the 12 constellations. So from the sun are actually the Elohim that we know from the Bible.
These are the powers of the Elohim.
Yes.
They created man and woman, whatever.
Yes. There are 7 Elohim working there in the sun, but one, I think Yahweh, is the one who came and revealed himself to Moses. And Ben Saduno, this is my thoughts here, I'm going to say. Ben Saduno was able to conduct thoughts and spiritual secrets from the level of powers.
So he was a solar being, powers being. Yeah.
He was able to conduct a solar being through him in times. Rudolf Steiner was able to conduct an archangel through him. We know Archangel Michael. But the higher personalities like Buddha and Orpheus, they were able to conduct knowledge and wisdom and actually healing powers through the sun beings. That's why it's very curious how the Christ is strongly embedded in those two teachers. One of them is the Michael impulse from the archangel realm, and then is the Elohim realm, which the Christ came down from the sun. So both of them are related to the sun Christ manifestation, but one of them is on a bit higher level than the other one. Steiner being from an archangel and Ben Saduno being from a Elohim. But this is just my thoughts trying to unite, seeing an esoteric language. So I don't vouch this as truth. I need to mention that. Then we have the virtues, who are the spirits of motion. And whose motion? It's Mars. Might, power, movement. So they control this part of the solar system. I'm not going to stop on each one here because it's extremely complex. I just want to represent the relationship between a being and a planetary realm.
Yeah,
Then
so
we have the spirits.
probably do the movement of the planets, moving everything around and stuff like that.
I would say the spirits of motions are the ones who have given themselves that when a person moves, it's actually a spirit of motion that has made that possible. Because the movement of the planets will be more on the top, the cherubim and the seraphim. I will say why. The next one is the minions, the spirits of wisdom. We know wisdom is with Jupiter, and this is the kind of the end point of the middle spiritual hierarchy, the second hierarchy. From now on, we get into a very, very hard and very strong spiritual beings, which you cannot even kind of even the structure of a thought stops you. Like, oh, okay, even thinking about that gives me a headache. The thrones, the spirits of will, that they live on Saturn, and that's why Saturn is such a hard planet, hardship. He really develops the will of humanity, of human beings. When you kind of enter the age of 30, then you have to just do work and try, and really you have entered life, and they ask for will. They are pure will. Then we have something kind of much, much higher than them. Until now, we had planets, but now we have the cherubim who are controlling the dark zodiac. The dark doesn't mean bad. It means that it's in darkness, because after autumn, we know that the day becomes smaller, and the movement of the sun into the dark zodiac, which is after Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorns, and Aquarius and Pisces, it's all dark outside. It's cold. You have to go within yourself. So the cherubim actually control 5 constellations. We're not talking anymore for planets. We're talking about constellations. And in constellations, you have many solar systems.
Yes.
So from the thrones to the cherubim, it's like a magnificent jump from a being to a being. So the cherubim here, they are moving planets. Because can you imagine, you are a constellation.
Wow.
It's outrageous.
They create the 12 signs, constellations, basically, those.
Yes, both the two of them. They are, the cherubim and the seraphim are sharing that task. So it's galaxies we're talking.
12 incredible beings that are spreading their wings in a circle.
Yeah, yeah.
Create
and then
constellations.
Rudolf Steiner says that you can see a seraphim in a color. When you see red or green, you're seeing a seraphim diluted himself so much, like gazillion times, that he became a color. So all the colors that you see are little dilutions of the seraphim and the cherubim. And the sounds as well. I think the sounds are related more to Mars as well, also. But it's also talked that different sounds, any high pitch, low pitch, a bark, what even we say now, it's thanks to them sacrificing themselves. It's like homeopathy. You have one thing in a bottle, shake it 1 million times, and then in the bottle there is nothing.
Here is yours.
But yes, but there is, and it's like seeing the 12 constellations diluted so much into reality, and it became here on Earth. Because for the cosmos and for a galaxy, that's a huge delusion. Huge. And only after the seraphim, we go into the triad of the Holy Spirit, Son, and the Father. And
Where's
this
the
is
Christ? You know,
the Christ is the Son, yes.
The sun or the sun?
Well, it's the Son, but it's representative is the Sun. Because it's another presentation. Why the Sun?
Christ is above all those hierarchies of angels.
He's above them, absolutely above all of them. He's a leader.
Yeah.
Yes.
And from his essence, all those were created up to the mineral kingdom.
Yes. Well, the Holy Spirit, I think it's the combination between the Father and the Holy Spirit. So the Son is a being that has a manifestation. And when he's a being, it's like the Spirit. Christ is the Spirit. But when he's manifesting as our physical body, it could be called the whole hierarchy world.
So that's why Christ is king, is our creator, everything.
Yeah, that's why he really is the quite the thing.
The thing. And that being, a part of that being, entered for 3 years a human being.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Today,
imagine that.
the most mighty being ever. It's
Yes.
incredible. That
Walked the mightier being walked the earth ever. And this is interesting because many people mention, well, he was only an initiate and things. And when you see the whole hierarchy of beings, you want to lower down the Christ as a human down there, below the middle. And then you see then 9 levels more above us and above the Holy Spirit also. And you say, yeah, he was not an initiate. Jesus was an initiate, but Christ was above all these things. It's like saying, oh yeah, Archangel Michael is just a human being. Well, you cannot make such a statement.
to pass through those 9 hierarchies before reaching into human, as far as I remember, initiates knew that they were seeing for thousands of years approaching slowly, lower spheres. And it wasn't a process, okay, the son Jesus will be born, the Christ, let me make myself 17 million times, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was about that.
And it took thousands of years for this process to enter into the lower and lower and lower. And the high priests of Egypt, of Babylon, they were seeing this and they were saying the light being has moved from the Devachan into the astral. It's coming closer and closer. That's why they said he's coming to earth. He's gonna be born. That's why the prophets of Israel said he's gonna come, the Messiah,
Exactly. It's an astonishing process, and it's humbling when you try to grasp the vastitude. That's why these two teachers and others talk. This is the most important event on the planet, never happening again.
Never.
That's why also the body could not withstand more than the 3 years. It was going to decay. It would explode. You can imagine, like in the Matrix, the part 1, the end of the Matrix is when the Neo enters Smith, and from inside Smith just explodes.
Yeah.
And that's the body not being able to withstand. Okay, quite amazing stuff here. Let's go to the bad guys again. Ahriman. Ahriman is Satan. He's the other devil, let's say.
Adversary.
Yeah. And he's the other side of the coin. And if you have a coin around you, one side is Lucifer, the other side is Ahriman, and there is a middle side. Because you can spin your coin. And if you spin your coin very slowly, you can put the coin to stand on the third side. So it's standing up then, your coin. And you can see how small amount of space there is in a coin in the middle side. So you cannot say there's a coin, there's only 2 sides. No, the coin has 3 sides. But it's so small, like the Christ says, only the very small will be able to go into the ear of a needle. In the New Testament, he says that. So the other side of Ahriman is Ahriman, who is the very physical being. He brings everything into physicality. He controls the mineral realm. And that's how we started manufacturing other beings from the mineral realm, which are machines.
And robots.
Yes, and actual machines who are trying to induce life in them. They can move, they have something like blood system, all the cables and things, and just trying to make something out of the mineral world, which resembles a living entity. And recently I've stumbled upon a anthroposophist in a foreign anthroposopher who broke down the name of Ahriman. And I was astonished how much secret it was embedded in the name of Ahriman from 6,000 years ago to now. So you can see that it's a law of dark secret power that Ahriman would now be seen as the artificial intelligence. Everyone who's looking at the video can see how I've broken down the name, because artificial, not real, not making a robot that's not a real being, doesn't have a soul or biological system, to an actual AI who is the artificial man would be a robot, but the AI would be the intelligence of the robot. So here you break it down twice, to the intelligence of the thing that is going to move and to the actual manifestation of that intelligence. And that's what we're expecting, a very smart person to appear, super smart. And everything related to the AI is only feeding and gathering resources for the manifestation into a human body.
The way they want that AI will be controlling every aspect of our life, it will be regulating light, it will be doing laws and whatever. Can actual entity, Ahriman, take over AI and give commands to the world and suggestions, so it actually enlivens it properly?
I actually see it in the way that he would not get control. He is all this, what you just mentioned. Ahriman is the whole process of robotization. He is it.
Mm-hmm.
I would even expect that there will be a kind of biological imitation of a human being, a very strong AI and a robot, that he would incarnate in that machinery. But that's quite different from what Rudolf Steiner says. He says that it's going to be an actual human being. But I see it, everyone who needs a leg or an arm or an ear based on these subjects, that means he is becoming embedded. Ahriman embeds himself into the human physicality. I would say it's better for human in their stage of development to make choices which can be hard. Let's say you can buy a artificial hand, a robotic hand, and to move it. But it's for your karmic development, it would be better for not having that, and kind of being in a bad moment, not having a wrist or a hand, and then living your karma of being that. And the more and more we allow Ahriman entering our biological, because now he's in the biology. Until now he was only a typing machine or a computer, but now there's technology, even organs substitution, pumping and making vessels and muscles, cords. You don't need to know what's out there. It's really scary. So he is actually understanding the human organism within inside. So, because that's a spiritual, we see it in the physical realm, but that's a spiritual aspect. Just give me a moment. I want to see it. He understands the physical world, biological, and then that's his spirit. Because that's something you need to say. Ahriman is a fallen archangel, so he is mightier than Lucifer. So he can control big amounts of people. He can be everywhere at the same time. He could be controlling something in London and then in China and in the physical realm and the thought world of people. He could be inducing thoughts because he has Ahrimanic beings, of course. He just disperses in the whole atmosphere of the earth. So here saying, yeah, but he's there, he's there. He works at the same time, all the time, everywhere, if there is food for him. And if he understands biology so deeply now, he is going to make a body that can represent him on the earth. So it's like he's making a research now, and he will choose a very good a body, very seductive, very good speaking. He's with the AI now, and they're following our phones and the computers, it's very easy for a hacker to do that. He actually goes into the understanding and sees what people want, and then when he is incarnated, he will use all that information to manipulate people, because he already took all that substance. Because for an archangel, he knows all the thoughts of humanity. He can just see them in a moment, but he's never going to use them for something bad. But this guy has not been allowed to see into the thoughts of humanity, so he goes into the physical manifestation of their thoughts, written thoughts,
AI,
conversation.
computers, and everything.
Yes.
Now,
yes. And the more
gathering all this information, it's for him. He's pushing.
Yes. That's why we have now a very big database with ChatGPT. He's eating like crazy. ChatGPT, people are talking with him. It's like you're giving him the food that he needs. It's like it's making it easier for him. That doesn't mean don't use ChatGPT. He's gonna take what he needs one way or another. But that's the way that you understand how he's gonna get that. That's how.
But it was allowed by the creator.
And
creator says it's necessary, it's allowed to happen.
yeah,
Faster that.
yes, it's an evolutionary process. What Rudolf Steiner says, we just don't need to sleep over. So what I'm saying, what I just described as a process, is me trying to think, okay, where he's gonna get me from. So I am awake to the process, because I use ChatGPT, but I'm awake to the process of, I'm not gonna go and have a psychological interview with ChatGPT. I'm gonna try to use him for tasks that I need. But not allow him to ask him, oh, okay, ChatGPT, what do you think about Rudolf Steiner, by the way? That kind of things.
Not define your beliefs and worldview, more like for practical things.
Yeah, because people have said, well, ChatGPT told me that maybe I need to see a psychiatrist because I'm not looking too good. He's getting better and better at being a human.
Manipulate.
At least thinking. Yeah.
In your mind.
And my point of view is, this is not said by Steiner, that Ahriman is a Saturn, because he's so much directed to the physical world, and he breaks down and tries to use, and it's his own will. The first tractors that they tried working the earth, people could work earth for thousands of people with one machine. So he brings the will outside of this world. There is machines now for more than thousands, quadrillion people on the earth of work to be done. We are making extraordinary work with digging and moving and building that has never been possible before.
Yeah.
Will to the extreme. That's the opposition of Lucifer.
Who wants to escape the world, anything material, anything.
Yeah. And Ahriman wants to have the world, and that's what all is. There's no spirituality within Ahriman. That's why
wants to be in nirvana all the time. Ahriman wants to control the whole world, the material.
Yeah, physical material world, there's nothing else. There's no spirituality, there's nothing. It's all physics. And that's why Ahriman on some pictures has bull feet, because he's the bull who controls the earth.
Wow, fascinating. Thank you. Do you have more, Armin?
Yeah, no, I have quite a lot more, but because we kind of speak into it, and we're not going to be able to cover the whole thing. I am gonna move now, because I don't want to have too much bad things. The Christ becomes the middle of these, of course, the middle of the solar system, the middle between Venus and Saturn, and the Earth. Now, something specific is that the sun and the sun, Christ is no longer the sun being. He is an earth being now. This is forgotten, and being forgotten for people who are within spirituality. Yes, the Christ was within the sun realm, and he's the sun being, but he's no longer there. He is transforming the earth. And that's why being on the earth is more important than being in the spiritual world now. People who are in, when they die and go in the spiritual world, they don't have the opportunity to meet the Christ as clearly as they do in the physical world, because he is not there. And the priests in the past, just before he got born, before the Christ came, let's say 50 to 100 years, the priest said, we no longer see the Christ in the astral world, in the higher astral world. He is not there. But they didn't see him on the earth yet. So he was on the path of being within the earth. That's why running from incarnation and saying, oh, I just want to run away from this, all this, it's actually the chances of meeting the third Christ is on the earth. You cannot meet the third Christ in the astral world.
Mm-hmm.
That's why living your karma on the earth is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you know that in astrology, Saturn is the karma planet related to karma.
Mm-hmm.
Here, the Christ kind of breaks that rule. After the resurrection, the Christ is the controller of karma.
Mm-hmm.
Saturn no longer rules karma or the beings of Saturn. It's the Christ, because he clears karma when he gives himself to the earth. He clears quite big and common for the whole world karma and allows humanity to start from a fresh beginning, not through all the karmic debts which are individual, but the common debt of the earth and what we did with our temptations or bad deeds, which kind of are piling up on the earth's astral and soul. So he kind of made the earth bright and clear again for the ages 100, 200 years. But now, of course, again, the light has a lot of shadow because of our newly karmic deeds made. But again, if you can see the earth from a clairvoyant point of view, you would see that big light streaming out of the core of the earth, the Christ saying, come on, guys, it's time to become a sun. And from inside the core, actually, the earth is breaking down and becoming a solar entity. And Rudolf Steiner says the earth is going to become a sun.
In billions of millions of years.
Physically. Well, to be honest, I wouldn't say so much, because in anthroposophy, only in 12,000 years, the earth will be a Jupiter, you know. It will no longer be a...
So you think that these time frames they're giving us millions, billions of years are not correct?
On the physical? No, because times, what Rudolf Steiner says, time has elapsed completely different before. You know, every astrologer and other spirituality says, oh, time is going much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, time is absolutely changing.
It changes.
How people say that the Earth and the galaxy are made 7 billion? No, maybe 12.
4 billion Earth, 11 billion the whole universe, galaxy.
Yes, they are counting on the mineral. They take a rock from the depths of the earth. They make a physically chemical experiments to see. They see, let's say, oh, this one is 100 years old or 1,000 years old. And they multiply that by an intellectually made formula and say, oh, actually, 1,000 by 1,000 is 100,000. And it's not an actual specific physical quality that they see in the rock.
Yeah.
It's a thought imaginated formula that they've made up because of the dinosaurs, because of the bones. But if you put a bone into a compost heap, I'm gonna make it salt in 2 months.
Fossilize it.
Yes. And it's not about that, because processes of the earth course, they don't know the whole biology that has happened on the earth and how bacteria and fungi work to dissolve bones. So I kind of listen to a more spiritual aspect of translation to ears, which of course there's probably been hundreds of thousands, but time just elapsed much, much differently.
Another area where we're, I guess, quite wrong.
Yeah, and I would say that's happily we are wrong about that.
If it was millions and billions of years, come on.
Yeah, and what Beethoven says, okay, millions and billions of years. How come then only 7,000 years ago was the fall of Adam and Eve? Tell me that. 7,000 years is nothing. Nothing. And they're saying the pyramids are 5,000 years old. That's, you know, spiritual history and the history of humanity that has been made by scientists. It's really just moving into different directions. Something curious that I wanted to share is this picture, because this was one of our conversations on the voice messages we did. It's how is all this theological understanding related to astrology, and how can we teach our eyes to see it? So here, this is Leonardo da Vinci, and he was an initiate. He was very special. And he didn't make the signs of the names that I written here, but he drew the Last Supper. And of course, we can see the Christ in the middle. The 12, wherever we have 12 in any biblical or any theology, philosophy, it's related to the star signs, and there is no doubt about that. So here on the first side, coming from left to right, of course, we would think about the first star sign being Aries. I mean, just look how he's going forward with his head.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. Then we have Taurus. And what I wouldn't say I can understand why Taurus is this. I say I understand Aries.
Yeah.
But I understand Gemini is the third one, because he's with his two hands, just like the symbol of the twins, controlling the hands. So Leonardo da Vinci was inspired, and he drew an archetype of how the star signs would be presented by the 12 students of Christ. So having Aries first and Gemini third, I can deduce from that the Taurus is in the middle, even if I cannot recognize it.
Yes.
Then if we jump to, we see the only woman
Yes.
here. And we know that there was no women from the 12 students.
Yeah.
He had students women, who was Magdalene, but not from the students. So that's Virgo being the sixth sign, you know, the only woman in the zodiac. Then before we have here, do you see it zoomed? Do you see when I zoomed it here?
Someone's holding a knife.
Yes, it's holding a knife. And here, common Christology says that that's Judas.
Oh.
But Judas did not do anything in the New Testament to the Christ with a knife.
Huh.
So historically, there is no reason to have a knife. Do you know who from the 12 had a knife at this evening?
The one that cut the ear.
Exactly, Peter.
Yeah.
That's Peter.
And Peter. Is that Leo or Cancer?
That's Leo. So I saw it differently. I saw it somewhere being said that this guy with the knife is Cancer. But I know that Peter is Leo, and the Christ says, I'm going to build, you're going to be the stone of my teaching. And because the Christ is the sun controls the heart. And I was really thinking, you know, that you have to think about that. That has to be Peter, because he is Leo.
Yes.
So that's Leo, and that he's closest to Virgo. And then this
very
guy,
fiery, Peter. He was
yes, and he's always the one talking.
Yes, he's always the one.
Yeah, just going and saying, no, I'm gonna save you. You know, very courageous. So that's why I think that's Peter with Leo. And he's the one, helping Virgo. He's touching, on the... So after that, after the sun, here we have, look at the guy. What is he doing with his two hands? Do you see the first person after the Christ?
Oh, yeah. Open arms.
Yes. So look at this.
Oh, yeah. He's holding
Look at
the
the
balance.
Libra. Yes. So this guy wants to balance off. That's why he's staying like... It's genius. In eurythmy, the Libra gesture, this is just eurythmy here. I don't know if you know, guys, what eurythmy is, but eurythmy is the spiritual way of movement, which is based on the archetypes of the etheric world. And all the 12 signs have a specific movement, and this is the one for Libra. And if I didn't know eurythmy, I wouldn't say, oh yeah. The second person, look, he's very hidden on the side, and he has a point fingering up. That's the Scorpio's tail. In eurythmy, the finger is usually pointed down. This is this thing of Scorpio. That's why he's behind Libra, though. You cannot see any other part from him. So, I need to open another. I'm going to stop sharing because now I get super excited. I'm going to open the constellation of Scorpio.
Yes.
Because many astrologers haven't seen how the constellation look. And here it's just hidden. I'm opening a picture now that I'm gonna share. Opening a new tab. Let me just share screen. This. Okay. Do you see this? This is Scorpio. Yeah. If you turn it upside down, unfortunately, I cannot do that. It's the letter J. Do you see that? It's the upside down letter J. How?
Yes.
And J is the first letter of Judas.
Wow.
You see it, you don't see it like this in the sky.
Yes.
You see it as a J if you look from the northern hemisphere.
Wow.
And it's no wonder that Judas, first he's called Judas, and second that he's the Scorpio who betrays the Christ.
Wow.
So tell me if that's not esoteric hidden knowledge within names and signs and everything. Then we have the archer who actually steps forward, and he's very generous. I find the archer as a very good sign. They're like good people. Then we have Capricorn, who is with the hands again going forward, but his head is on the other way. The waterman, the pike. Here it's harder to see the symbology. After Scorpio, it's quite vague, and it's because it's also the dark zodiac. But
I think the old man would be Capricorn, while the guy in blue is like Aquarius.
Yes, yeah, that makes more sense. I cannot really make out the symbology here. Usually the clothing, I mean, look at the Christ. He has red and blue.
Yes.
He has the moon and the earth, and the moon and the sun together within him. And all the clothing, it's also revealing the colors. You look at Gemini with the yellow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Virgo again with the blue of purity, but many of them have blue.
Libra in green.
Yeah, blue-green. Here Pisces a little bit with his hands also. He's a bit vague, he doesn't have much of a coloring, being the last one in the back. Also, he looks a little bit as the only black person, I would say.
Faded. Pisces has faded his face.
Yeah. So that's how we can look into the theology of the students.
Beautiful.
And here I jump to the 12-fold. If we have a star sign who represents any of these beings, Rudolf Steiner says like this: Christ is Pisces because he shows himself in the Piscean age. He comes before before that age has come. That's why we have the Vesica Pisces. He talks about fishes, feeding the fishes, and he is always with people who are fishermen. That I'm going to teach you how to catch people and not fish. So it's a very strong representation of Pisces, and this Jupiter quality of the Pisces ruler, you know, the higher knowledge, and Pisces, that it's the middle, not the middle, the in between realms, you know, you're in between the physical, between the spiritual. And then on the other side, it's the most physical, which is Virgin Mary, Virgo, the earthly, the woman, earthly forces.
Yeah.
So he is the one who impregnates matter and spiritualizes it. Then we have Ahriman being in Sagittarius, a lot of knowledge, bringing all the knowledge everywhere, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit, a little bit of that. And it's in the darkest time of the earth. It's in the end of Sagittarius that we have the longest nights. So the darkness of Ahriman. And the opposition of Ahriman is Lucifer in Gemini, the brightest day, the last day of Gemini.
Lucifer, the light bearer.
Yes, the light bearer. And Petr Denov and Rudolf Steiner speak about 3 o'clock at midnight and 3 o'clock at afternoon. It's not a midday, but it's the middle of the day, which has not too much light, not too much night. So it's the darkest hour is within Ahriman, around 12 o'clock at night. The brightest day is around 12 o'clock with Lucifer. So the middle points are important that we want to balance. And Rudolf Steiner has said the Father prayer every day at 3 o'clock at midday afternoon. Very loudly.
The peak of the day and the middle of the night. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rudolf Steiner mentions.
Sorry,
He mentions.
they're all mutable signs. The cross.
Yes, that was the thing we kind of discussed with you. How come mutable signs? Because a truth is flexible, because it can be penetrated into different concepts, different ways of seeing the world. Because if the Christ fixed, he would annihilate 80% of humanity. He needs to be, you know, these signs are usually serving signs. They're really serving signs.
And signs of understanding. It's about knowledge, all of those signs.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating.
Although here, I bring another chart of the fixed signs, which are the 4 gospels, the 4 evangelists. And they need to be fixed because they are holding, the fixed signs are the ones who are holding life. The whole life on the earth is being held. The Aries starts life, but he doesn't hold it. Taurus holds the life. And after that, Leo holds the fire. He's the holding fire. You know, that's why these signs are holding life. And John and the Gospels are holding the knowledge. And on the churches, you see these 4 everywhere, in different type of drawing on the left or carving like on the right side. And all of them are the fixed signs. In the middle is Christ. This sign is the Vesica Pisces. Some people say it's like the vagina, but it's actually the Vesica Pisces in holding the Christ. Then on the top left, you have Aquarius. On top right, you have Scorpio, who is the eagle. This is the old way of representing. On the bottom left, you have the lion with wings, because he's representing Archangel. That's why all of them are with wings. And the bottom right is the Taurus. And in the whole Christology, there are those animals. On the left side, it's also the Scorpio eagles on the top. And the man here is the Aquarius. And all of them are holding the books of the Gospels. So here, which Gospel is to whom? Luke is the easiest to recognize because Luke was a healer. It's his profession. And healing forces come from the earth sign of Taurus. Also, he knew all the herbs, all the ways of healing, because that was, being a healer means knowing the herbs, knowing the medicine. And that's the Luke Gospel is also called the Gospel of Love. Why? Because Taurus, the planet of Taurus is Venus. Then the total opposition of Luke is Scorpio. The Scorpion with John, again with the J. It's a person starting with the J, because the deepest knowledge is within the Gospel of John.
The most esoteric.
Yes, the most esoteric. The one that only when you read it, you are getting higher and higher without understanding what's happening.
And it's so cryptic. At the beginning was the Word, and the Word was in God, and God was in the Word. And
yeah, exactly. Then we have Matthew. No, let's leave Matthew. Let's look at Mark. Mark is the shortest one. And Mark is usually a very willing, in the Gospel is talked about doing things and what happened in a willing way. And that's how we see Mark being as the lion, the fiery, the happening, the guardian. And Rudolf Steiner says that we are living in times where the Gospel of Mark is absolutely important to be understood by humanity. Then it will evolve to other Gospels. And the opposition of Mark is Matthew, the Aquarius. And here it's interesting because Matthew is an amalgamation of all the other three. And he is the man who has the lion, the eagle, and the bull within himself that makes him become a human being, a full human being. And that's how these four Gospels relate to the and even if you see in your chart which fixed sign kind of works more with you or gives an aspect, you can relate to a Gospel that really works with you. I love Luke, and I have Mars in Taurus. I really just love how he speaks. I really enjoy Luke. That's something that I found for myself.
Now to read them again and see which one resonates. I think I felt very strongly to Matthew, the one of Matthew, but I'm Aquarius rising, so.
Yeah, the Aquarius. So really looking into the biblical stories and astrology is a no-brainer that it's there somehow, and just seeing the crypt in it.
Astrology was the first, when first religions and priests appeared, the first thing was astrology. Is the
exactly
science. And when people say, oh, you're Christian, but astrology in the Bible says they'll all burn, in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, it never says that. Maybe before the coming of Christ, it was, all those soothsayers and whatever, but Christ himself was, as far as I know, there is knowledge that, first of all, this astrological symbology in the New Testament, but sorry, my daughter's calling, so I'm losing my thoughts. Sorry. I'll stop here because I lost my train of thought.
Okay. Well, it's true because he gathered 12 students. I mean, he was using, there's a astrosopher who looked at every date of the Christ, that he made a miracle. Every date had a specific astrological aspect. Let's say he cured someone and there was Jupiter conjunct Mercury in, let's say, in Pisces, because Christ manifested that happening on the earth. He chose the times, he knew all the conjunctions that are going to happen on earth, and he conducted these powers through the planets because of what we saw earlier. He has them within him. That's why he can allow himself to manifest miracles of that sort. This is a page where I really wondered if I should put it in.
That's the highest evil.
This is the biggest bad thing working against the Christ, and it's not many people know or understand. And anthroposophers are trying not to reveal a lot from that. So I'm gonna very briefly just open it, because I even didn't want to have the name written here. That's why I had ... But it's good for people to know that there are 3 adversary powers to the Christ, and this is the one exactly against the Christ. This is the sun,
The black sun.
bad spirit, evil spirit against the sun. He's trying to pull down the sun, to move it out of its movement. He wants to stop the sun moving into the trajectory that it's moving. It's humongous evil power. And that's the number 666 that being talked in the Bible. Those are the Hebrew letters, and every letter has a number. I have a Hebrew friend, anthroposopher, and he confirms that the first letter equals, because they have numerology within the Hebrew letters. So when you have them all together, they equal this number, and that's how you pronounce them in Hebrew on this side. And Rudolf Steiner revealed something very interesting. Look at the first letter is T, Tau. And the name that we have here, Sorath, finishes with the T. Rudolf Steiner says that when you're trying to encrypt something, you need to read it from the other way around. And he says, you don't read it Taros, which is also connected with the tarot cards. You read it the other way around and you get the name of the beast with this number 666, which is the sun demon. So I want just to reveal that there is this guy who is above Lucifer, above Ahriman, and he is going to come in far ages ahead into manifestation, from what Rudolf Steiner says. This is very far, but he is the boss, let's say, of Ahriman, who is, again, just good to know that there is something there, and just to be informed about it. When this guy, Sorath, tries to work bad things on the earth, there is an archangel, or I would say an Elohim, in the Bible called Nahiel, whose name equals the 111 number. And the Nahiel is a combination of the Elohim, I think the 7 Elohim, who stops 666 and fights him off on the earth and on the sun in the solar system. You can see here they have signs next to their names, the symbol, and in some logos, very famous logos, you can see there's actually this sign encrypted within, which kind of mentions which side they're working on. So if you kind of want to make a logo or a name, you can use names of that kind of characters, because then you are allowing spiritual beings to give them signs. Okay, look, I know that you're there. I want to work on your side. I'm gonna put this within my logo, if you don't mind. And then you show. That's how in the New Testament they say they're gonna have a sign on their head or on their forehead. It's a little bit, even if you're carrying a New York cat, because the New York has the New York logo. I kind of made a research on that. The New York logo is actually an upside down 7-pointed star, if you make the connections. So New York is New York first means the Big Apple, York meaning the New Jerusalem. So it's a very big manipulation being encrypted within names and signs. So if you make signs or logos and you do that kind of business, just use these things as a guiding organ so you can be on the good side of things.
A lot of logos have 666 in them, from some of the most famous. Sorry, my kids are very loud. I can't escape from that. I'm trying to move from room to room. But who do you see the globalists would be on? Who are they with?
Well, I've seen
that's Soraphic. It sounds very Soraphic.
Yeah, the logo of Google
Yes.
is a 666 logo. It's
So,
just yes,
yeah.
it's a very fine. The better the logos, the finer it's hidden within. It's amazing.
Who they're working for and who they serve.
This is the Christ symbol. So here we have the good Elohim, the Sorath, and this is the Christ on the left side. This is an alchemical 7-pointed star, and astrological, because astrology and alchemy are like brother and sister. But this is how it's represented by the Christ. He actually lifts up the star a little bit, because within the left side you can see a pentagram and a hexagram below it, and the feet of the pentagram are the head of the hexagram, and the hexagram and the pentagram are really, that's why we have the key of David of Solomon. It's a hexagram. But Rosicrucian order, and after that being Saduno, the White Brotherhood, they become a pentagram. So this is other symbols uniting the solar spheres. That the sun is the middle on the top. See, even if you start relating, Jupiter has connections, direct connections only with Venus and Mercury. What does that mean in astrology? What does it mean the moon has connections only with Mars and with the sun? Why is that? What are the signs? You know, how are the zodiac signs related to conjunctions or trines with these planets? This is something for you guys to figure out, because anthroposophy kind of mixes it. You can see Mercury and Jupiter are the higher and the lower scale. The lower scale is Mercury. Jupiter is the higher scale. Then Venus is the lower scale. Mars is the higher scale. Then the moon is the lower scale. The Saturn is the higher scale. That's how anthroposophy connects them, the higher and the lower manifestation.
A lot of food for thought here.
Yeah. And of course, the sun being the middle. Those are archangels that I don't think... This is kind of the end of our presentation, but I think I might wrap it up here without the 7 archangels, because I know time passed. Even the day has finished. I needed to put my light on. Your children are jumping around. They know that we need to stop.
They're running around with hammers and wow, Theo, thank you so much. Absolutely fascinating knowledge. You took it to another level. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your time, for the presentation. Thank you for everyone that's joined us. And again, if you'd like to contact Theo for a very different kind of experience and advice on the next level, you have a master here, and I'll put the link below.
I would say I really try to think about these things and say, why are clairvoyants saying that? Why? I want to see it. And this presentation is an investigation for me. This has been years of investigation until I get it. Like I told you earlier, why an archangel has 2 planets. And something personal I want to ask the audience is, I talked with Lada recently, why I've had tens, 15, 20 emails by people, and they wanted consultation. They wanted to even just to speak. And when I said, okay, tell me a date, and you guys just disappear. Nothing else. I
Maybe
had
people
only
get
one.
scared. Maybe people get scared.
Am I scary? What did I do? What did I say in my
Maybe it's too
message?
high vibration. That can burn out us.
So I just want to say I had a consultation. The lady, it was a lady from Germany. She was very happy with it. And I'm not biting through the screen. Just
I
want to
like
let
when
you
I
know.
spoke with Theo, I haven't had consultation, but just for 15 minutes before we start the video last time, he helped me solve two of my big conundrums in my head and like a life problem. They helped me almost on time and not just by listening to my issues and telling back something to me. And I was, this is fantastic. So I highly recommend Theo. He doesn't bite. As he said, and is extremely knowledgeable and charming. Thank you very much, Theo, again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.